A Florida teacher was let go after using a student's preferred name without parental consent. The parents of a high school student complained that a teacher was using the student's preferred name and not the name given at birth. So I guess for this to make any kind of sense, you have to understand that Florida is a parental rights state. There's a specific Parental Rights and Education Act. Basically, it states that the school district cannot have personnel withhold information from a parent. It cannot encourage a student to do so either. It can't say, well, I'll do this and just don't tell your parents. They can't do that. It also prohibits instruction of gender identity to younger students. And, basically, parents must be informed and have the say in their child's education and upbringing, right? That's what parents do. At least that's what they used to do. Now, this prohibits kindergarten through 12th grade employees from using preferred names and pronouns that do not correspond to the gender and name assigned at birth without parental consent. Now, the teacher in question, she stated that she knowingly did not comply with the state statute. The teacher was working under a contract that was coming up and its end date was near. And she wasn't fired, but her contract was not renewed. Now, with all this being said, the teacher was a exemplary teacher. She was a good teacher. She was well liked by the students and the rest of the staff alike. The majority of the parents, they thought the same thing of this teacher. She was, by all accounts, a very good educator. There was even a large showing of community support with over 26,000 signatures to have her contract renewed. So what do you think about all this? Leave me a comment below, please. Let me know your thoughts. And here's my thoughts. Now, the teacher in question, she was a high school teacher. So I'm sure that at that level of education, at that grade level, at that age of the students, I'm sure she could have sat down and had an intelligent conversation with the student. I feel that, she could have explained that she wanted to show support to the child and its choices and views, but her hands were tied by the law. She could explain that, I need to obey this to keep my job so I can continue to teach you and support you and other children like you, but I have to follow this unless your parents say I can. Understand, I support your decision and I wish I could, but I can't. I just think at that level in the educational system in high school, I think the student should have been able to understand. Now, I know some are going to say, well, they're already kind of confused and they have issues because of the way they're thinking and want to be treated and acting. I'm not going to get into all that because that's not the point or the issue here. It's just, what do you think? I mean, again, that's just my opinion. At this grade level, it could have been handled a little bit different so that this good teacher didn't get lost in the shuffle and the students, in my opinion, lose out. I don't think it's the state's fault or the parents that complained fault or anything else. I think it's this teacher's fault of her own that she didn't handle it a little bit differently so she could continue to help children down the road. But I do feel that parents have the duty and obligation to raise their children in the manner that they see best for that child. I feel the parent has the right to know what their child is doing and how they are behaving, what they're taught, and what kind of influence they're getting outside of the home. I feel that is a parental right. I mean, let's face it, children, they want to drive cars, they want to drink alcohol, they can't wait till they get of age, and they want to do all kinds of other age-restricted things. A child cannot enter into a contract or vote, or there's a whole list of things that you have to be at a certain age, a certain development stage, a certain intellect to handle and understand the consequences of those actions. And let's face it, children often change their mind on every aspect of life at a drop of a hat. We don't shoot little Jimmy into space at the age of 6 because he told mommy that he was an astronaut. We should not be convinced by a child that we wouldn't trust with driving or voting that they're another gender and that the name that you gave them is thrown out the window. And no, not a child. In some instances, parents are held legally responsible for the criminal actions of a minor. The parents can be jailed for a minor's crime. I've never heard of a teacher or school district being incarcerated for the actions of a student, even though they are influencing their mind and doing what the parents against the parents' wishes. It's the parents' responsibility, unless they are doing irreparable harm. And I know some people say that this is, but no, unless they are doing, physical things. And we don't yank children from their parents because they're a Jehovah's Witness, because we don't believe in that, or any other religious or any other background. We have to take these things as they are. And again, if you're going to tell the parents that, oh, well, you let your kid go out here and do whatever, commit some kind of crimes, well, it's your responsibility because they're children, they're minors, they're under your care, so you're held responsible. So again, it wasn't the teacher. Well, at school, the teacher told them that, the teacher's not going to jail. The parent is. Now, like other aforementioned things, when an appropriate age has been reached, then the person can then pursue its life's path, whatever it chooses to be. Until that time, it is the parent's responsibility to care for that child. The education system is there to do just that. Educate. Educate. What does that mean? What does educate? That means a standard fundamental curriculum of academics. The school is not there to teach someone else's morals or to teach their cultural practices of whatever they are, or their religious beliefs, or to push any kind of agenda at all. That's not the job of the educational system. I know it's gotten far from that, but that's not what it's like. We won't even talk about the absorbent amount of tuition people have to pay to send their kids to college to get indoctrinated into, I don't know what they're learning, but they're not learning anything productive. We won't get into that. Now, you often hear people say that they don't want government in their business. Then why would you want an outsider in your kid's head pushing their beliefs and agendas? So there you go. That's what Florida says about this whole thing. Now, Colorado, they have a very different approach to parental rights. They support transgender rights and gender-affirming care for children. Colorado also uses the gender wishes of a child in custody battles. A parent that identifies the child by using the preferred name and pronoun will get custody over a parent that only uses the name and gender that was given at birth. So the parent that bows to the wishes and whims of a child, they are the more worthy parent than the parent that says, this is the way it is, this is rules. When you get to a certain age, you can make your own decisions, but until then, this is the way it is. They're a bad parent, as far as Colorado says. So go ahead and tell me what you think. Are you with Colorado, where children run the show, or Florida, where parental rights are the final say, or are you somewhere in the middle? I would really, honestly, like to know and hear what you have to say on this subject. I find it quite interesting myself. And as you give your opinion, remember this: you do not have to agree with me at all. That is never, ever, ever the point here. The point is that this is Blind Views, and that's the way I see it.
What we do here is go back.